Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. The movie begins with a prisoner named Kyle, who is being transported in a prison van with his hands handcuffed. After a long journey, the convoy arrives at a hospital under heavy security. As they enter, a doctor greets them and tells Kyle that he is too late. His elderly mother has already passed away. Kyle begs the officers to let him see her one last time. They agree and escort him with 3 guards into an elevator. However, as soon as the elevator doors open, Kyle suddenly attacks the officers, knocking them unconscious, and escapes from the hospital. After fleeing, Kyle heads to a small bar near the roadside. The security guards at the entrance refuse to let him in, but he loses his temper, beats them up, and walks inside. He orders his favorite drink and sits alone, quietly drinking while grieving the loss of his mother. Meanwhile, a gang is sitting at a table behind him. One of the gang members starts telling the story of their friend Rock, who was recently killed. He explains that they were selling drugs on a street corner when Rock noticed someone watching them. Rock went over to scare the stranger away, but instead, the man easily overpowered him, beat him badly, and cut off his hand. The gang member continues, saying that he tried to chase the attacker but couldn't catch him because he was incredibly fast. As he tells the story, he laughs loudly and mocks the incident. Kyle overhears the conversation and begins mocking them as well. The gang becomes irritated, and one of the members asks, "Who sent you? Which gang are you with?" Kyle calmly replies, "I was invited by Lincoln, the owner of the bar." The gang leader laughs at him and doesn't take him seriously. Another gang member continues telling Rock's story, but Kyle interrupts again and says, "You're lying." At that moment, the gang leader loses his temper. Kyle then reveals the real story, admitting that he was the one who killed Rock. He explains that no one chased him, and that the men who were with Rock panicked and ran away, leaving their friend behind. Hearing this confession, the entire gang becomes furious, stands up, and surrounds Kyle, determined to kill him. We then meet Biz, the bartender, who angrily tells everyone, "All of you, get out of my bar. I don't ever want to see you here again." At that moment, the guards Kyle had beaten earlier arrive at the bar. One of them is carrying a baton, and they are determined to kill him. Kyle quickly pulls out a gun, points it at them, and says, "Where's Lincoln? If you don't tell me where he is, this is where your lives end." Just then, a man wearing a coat walks out of a room. His name is Heidi. He asks, "What's all this commotion?" Kyle immediately grabs him and pulls him away from the gang, demanding, "Where is Lincoln?" Everyone in the bar panics and freezes in fear. Kyle locks the front door to make sure no one can escape. Heidi then explains that Kyle is Lincoln's younger brother. He says that Kyle used to work with them but was sent to prison 5 years ago. Looking at Kyle, he asks, "What happened to your face? Why do you look so different? And what happened to your teeth?" Kyle ignores the questions. Suddenly, one of the gang members tries to attack Kyle and grab the gun from his hand, but Kyle reacts instantly, shoots him in the leg, breaking it, and the man screams in agony. Kyle then strikes him on the head with the gun, knocking him unconscious so his screams won't attract attention. Kyle orders everyone to place their phones into a bucket filled with water so that no one can call for help. He then takes a black bag out of his pocket and places it on the table. When they open it, they are horrified to find Rock's severed hand, the same hand Kyle had cut off. Kyle orders everyone to sit down and warns them not to make a sound or even the slightest movement. He tells Biz to serve everyone a free drink, but she refuses. Kyle points his gun at her and threatens her, but she doesn't seem afraid. She has faced countless threats throughout her life and refuses to back down. Heidi walks toward Kyle and says, "Prison has changed you. You used to be a peaceful man." Kyle replies, "Prison didn't turn me into a monster. You and my brother Lincoln did." He then smashes the gun across Heidi's face and says, "Now call my brother Lincoln and tell him to come here. If you say one wrong word, I'll blow your brains all over this table." Heidi calls Lincoln and speaks in a calm, natural voice, simply telling him, "Come to the bar. We need to talk about something important." One of the gang members says to Heidi, "I wish you were the one who beat Kyle up and did this to his face." Heidi replies, "Unfortunately, it wasn't us." Kyle overhears the conversation and mocks them, saying, "You want to know why my face looks like this? You want to know where all these scars came from?" He then begins telling his story from the very beginning. Kyle explains that one day he went to the bar where his brother and several men were gathered. They immediately started insulting him because he had lost a large shipment of drugs. Lincoln looked at Kyle and asked, "What do you want from me? Why did you come here?" Kyle replied, "I need to talk to you about something, in private." But Lincoln said, "Just say it here. The people in this room are family." Kyle then asked Lincoln for money because he wanted to finance a deal. Lincoln agreed to lend him the money but warned him, "Even though you're my brother, if you don't pay me back, I'll make your life a living hell. But if you want the money without paying it back, I don't mind giving it to you, as long as you do something for me in return." Kyle asked what he wanted, and Lincoln told him, "Go see Heidi. He'll explain everything." When Kyle met Heidi, Heidi first scolded him because he had bet on one of Kyle's fights. Kyle had won the fight, even though he was supposed to lose. After that, Heidi explained the job. He pointed at a young woman and said, "She's about to collect a bag of money. Once she puts the cash into her bag, I want you to steal it." Kyle carried out the mission successfully. He stole the woman's bag and escaped. Kyle then tells the gang, "That was the last job I ever did. After that, I was arrested and sent to one of the toughest prisons in America, a prison reserved for murderers and the most violent criminals." He explains that on his very first day in prison, he got into a fight with a huge inmate who was protected by the prison guards. Kyle fought them all by himself, but they greatly outnumbered him. They eventually overpowered him, pinned his head against a set of stairs, beat him brutally, and smashed his teeth. Kyle lost consciousness. Later, the guards took him to the prison doctor for treatment. When he woke up, he discovered that the doctor had replaced his broken teeth with silver teeth. Even though they didn't look good, Kyle ended up liking them because they made him look even more intimidating and ruthless. A few days later, his mother came to visit him in prison. She sadly told him, "Your brother refuses to visit you. He won't even come to check on you." Kyle pleaded with her, "Please try to convince Lincoln to come see me. I need him to help get me out of this prison. Everyone in this place is trying to kill me." Years pass, but Lincoln never comes to visit his brother. During his time in prison, Kyle spends every day training to become stronger and more ruthless so he can survive and defend himself. Later, Kyle gets into another fight, but this time it is a setup arranged with the prison guards. The guards secretly give another inmate a knife and order him to kill Kyle. In a narrow prison hallway, Kyle is ambushed and slashed across the face, leaving a deep scar near his eye. After the incident, the guards take Kyle before a judge. Instead of investigating what really happened, the judge sentences him to 1 additional year in prison for causing violence and having a poor disciplinary record. Furious, Kyle tells the judge, "They cornered me in the hallway. I was only defending myself." But no one listens. Kyle realizes that someone powerful is pulling the strings behind the scenes and ordering people to kill him. From that day on, he has to fight for his life almost every single day. One day, another inmate attacks him, but after a brutal fight, Kyle manages to defeat him. He grabs the man and demands, "Who sent you to kill me?" The man laughs and replies, "I was paid $20,000 to kill you." Kyle asks, "Who paid you?" The inmate answers, "Your own brother, Lincoln. He's the one who hired me. Even if I fail, someone else will come after you. Your brother has paid both prisoners and prison guards to make sure you're dead." Kyle continues telling the gang about the countless fights he endured in prison. Every battle left him with new scars and permanent injuries. He recalls that one day an inmate threw a chemical at him that was even stronger than acid. The substance burned through his skin and severely disfigured half of his face. Once again, Kyle was taken before the judge. Instead of recognizing that he had acted in self-defense, the judge added 2 more years to his sentence because the prison violence continued. Despite everything, Kyle never stopped fighting back. He refused to surrender, even as his prison sentence kept getting longer. Years later, his mother comes to visit him again. Kyle wants to tell her that Lincoln has been trying to have him killed and that several inmates have already confessed the truth. But before he can say anything, his mother tells him that she has cancer. She explains that Lincoln has been taking care of her and paying for all of her medical treatment. Hearing this, Kyle decides to keep the truth to himself and says nothing, not wanting to break his mother's heart. Kyle continues telling his story until he reaches the day he escaped from the hospital, the day he was supposed to say goodbye to his mother for the last time. He explains how he attacked the guards escorting him and managed to escape. At that moment, one of the gang members asks, "Can I use the bathroom?" Another man makes the same request, but Kyle refuses. He says, "Figure it out. Use these bottles." Kyle then forces Heidi to kneel and tells everyone, "Once my brother gets here, I'll be done with all of you. Until then, I don't want to hear a single sound from anyone." He then goes back to his story. Kyle explains, "After I stole the bag, I ran away. The woman kept chasing me and refused to give up. Then a car hit me, but it wasn't a serious impact, so I wasn't badly hurt. A few moments later, the police caught me and took me to the station. At the police station, the detective interrogated him and said, 'I can reduce your sentence, but only if you testify against your brother and his gang.' Kyle tells everyone, 'I never betrayed my brother or his gang. No matter what happened, I never informed on them.' The detective then ordered the officers to handcuff Kyle, drag him into another room, and beat him brutally in an attempt to force a confession. While Kyle is telling his story, Lincoln finally arrives at the bar. As soon as he walks in, Kyle points his gun at him and says, 'Come inside.' Put your phone in the bottle of water and stand next to your friends. He then tells Biz to lock the door once again. Kyle confronts Lincoln and says, "You're the reason my life turned into hell. How could you pay $20,000 to have me killed while I was in prison?" Lincoln replies, "How was I supposed to trust you? You confessed against me and my gang." Kyle immediately answers, "I never said a single word. Even after all the torture and beatings I endured from the detective and the prisoners because of you, I never betrayed you. The detective fooled you and you believed his lies. You chose to believe him instead of your own brother." Kyle then reveals that after he was released from prison, he tracked down the detective who had tortured him and tried to frame him for betraying Lincoln. "I followed him until he reached an isolated place," Kyle says. "When we were alone, I struck him hard in the head and killed him." After finishing the story, Kyle blames Lincoln for everything that happened, especially for preventing him from seeing their mother during the final days of her life. Before Kyle can finish speaking, Lincoln interrupts him and says, "You're the one who caused everything that happened to you." Hearing those words, Kyle loses his temper. He fires his gun at Lincoln, blowing away part of his head. At that moment, one of the gang members tries to rush toward Kyle, but Kyle immediately points his gun at him and says, "Do you want to die like him? If you value your life, stay where you are." The man quickly backs away, while Kyle keeps his gun raised, determined to finish what he started. Kyle looks at Lincoln and says, "I went to your accountant and made him transfer every dollar from your accounts." Lincoln replies in shock, "That's impossible. My accountant would never do anything without my permission." Kyle laughs, takes out his phone, and shows Lincoln his bank account. Lincoln stares at the screen and sees that only a tiny amount of money is left. Kyle says, "I emptied your accounts. I took your billions and gave the money to poor families and to the families of the innocent victims who died because of you. I also gave part of it to the people whose lives you destroyed." Kyle then turns to everyone else and says, "Anyone who wants to leave is free to go, but Lincoln is staying here with me." At that moment, Biz quietly sneaks up behind Kyle and smashes a bottle over his head. Everyone immediately rushes toward Kyle, but years of brutal fights have made him incredibly tough. The blow doesn't knock him out. Instead, he reacts instantly, pulls out his gun, shoots one of the attackers dead, and takes down the others one after another. Kyle fights with incredible strength, and no one is able to stop him. During the chaos, one of the men manages to slip out of the bar unnoticed while everyone is distracted. A few moments later, he returns carrying a shotgun and starts firing wildly, accidentally killing some of his own friends. Kyle quickly charges at him, beats him down, and takes the shotgun away. At that point, Kyle goes into a furious rage. He eliminates every remaining member of Lincoln's gang, then kills the man who brought the shotgun. After the fight is over, Kyle calmly sits beside Lincoln and continues talking to him. He says, "I've taken everything from you. You have nothing left in this world." Enraged, Lincoln pulls out a gun and points it at Kyle, but when he pulls the trigger, the gun is empty. Desperate, he attacks Kyle with a knife. Kyle overpowers him, grabs the knife, stabs him, and finally kills him. At last, Kyle finds peace. After years of suffering, betrayal, and torture caused by his own brother, he has finally taken his revenge. Before leaving, Kyle apologizes to Biz for everything that happened inside the bar. He then walks outside, sits quietly on the sidewalk, and finally feels at peace, knowing that he has destroyed Lincoln, his gang, and the corruption that had ruined his life. And that is the end of the movie. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload.